What's going on, everybody? Today I want to share with you a problem which occurred to me and how I solved. And my problem is making a backup of important configuration files. And underlying situation is like I run bunch of Linux servers all around the globe. Some of them are running in the cloud, some of them are running in the Raspberry Pi, and I want to take care that all the configuration files which I have adjusted over the time, they are somehow backed up, so I have a place to go if the file system is corrupted. And till now, I usually used a bunch of templates, but I decided to try to create a universal template, which we can blindly apply to everything, and it will magically figure out. And here we can see like I have one template, and I'm blindly applying it as a part of Linux monitoring. So if it's a Linux system, it will do this backup type of thing. So this solution is really based on the command like du and then like list the stuff in the etc. And if we try this in practice in the terminal, du etc, so it prints directories. It does not print files, it prints directories and its size, like what is the size in bytes of the directory. And my solution dictates like if the size is not too big, like if it is less than 500 kilobytes, which is still quite a lot, like it's a half of a megabyte, then we can kind of back up the directory by using an XZ compression. Like it is based on this XZ compression utility, which is so far like the greatest compression, I think, in the Linux. It does like violate a lot of CPU cycles. It's not like recommended to use this to backup huge files, but for small files, I still decided to use it. So yeah, so the solution is really based on the du and then etc. So it's a light command. I want to say, like it executes in a fraction of a second, and then what happens next? I inside the level of template, I will try like to grep for some interesting stuff I care about. For example, like I care about Nginx, I care about Zabbix, and so the output will be something like this. And here in the output, I see already like different categories, and this is like the best practice. This is, for example, this is a service override. Like we have a systemd service running, and for some reason we defined an override for the service, and that's quite important thing. I want to back this up, and so it's a separate category, service.t. It's an override for systemd service, and when I want to like transfer this to the new system in case of failure. Then there is another category. It's like a standard category. A lot of applications is using this syntax like Nginx, and then in the subdirectory we have like confd. And this is not the best example, but this is the best example for the application. We have application, and then we have something .d, which is kind of designed to store dynamics of on the system. So and then there is a pure folder like this one, Zabbix, which we can back up. So in the template level, I decided, so it will initially do this command, and then in the template level, I have three categories. One is this service level, which is really dealing with service.d, everything which ends with the service.d, and then in my examples, some like MySQL D, Zabbix server, Zabbix proxy, host access point D. It's like to store a wireless gateway in the home. Yeah, that's one category, and then another one which just blindly ends with D, group.d, yeah, a lot of stuff, and then some base directories. So these are like the scope of interest, and I will run this like do A. This is the base. It will discover a lot of things and very fast, and then based on this grep in the template level, I will collect what I only need. What happens next? So inside here we have du. One last thing, like in the template level we have the size. So there is actually a framework which can use regex to specify the limit of directory, and this time I'm like targeting if directory is bigger than like 700 kilobytes, then it is getting trickier. It's risky to backup because maybe the compression will not work so well. So this is my decision. I will this is the limit. And then there is like extra triggers which also monitors this. If the size is bigger than something, it will launch up a trigger and tell, hey, the stuff you want to backup, it's too big. We cannot get this done. So that is also already in the template. Okay, so this item, it is launching the command, it is printing directory, and then at the pre-processing level we have we are transferring this output to the JSON. So JSON is required for the discovery. Then we have the discovery rule. Does it have any pre-processing? No. And then the magical stuff. So how to back up the directory. And I am a fan of base64 command. It's like the benefit of base64 is it does respect all the spaces, tabs, very special characters in the file, and like we can do echo and echo something, and then base64 wrap 0. So this is the string encoded in base64, and then we can do reverse engineering, echo this special string, and base64 decode. And it is very handy when we deal with files with multiple lines. Like I want to back up etc hosts, and I can do again base64 and write 0, and this is the backup of hosts, including all the special characters inside the file. And to decode this again, I can do echo the same stuff, and then base64 decode, and then inside the home directory I will create like a backup of hosts. And just to see if that is true, if I'm saying the correct thing, like what is the MD5 sum of this file and etc hosts, and it is absolutely the same. It's absolutely the same content. So even if the file is having some tabs like YAML files are having tabs, and other files can have like spaces, we get that covered using this trick. Okay. So this du command will discover all the files I care, and then it will launch this command, and I will explain like how this is actually expanding this string. We can do that quite simply by opening the one server which I'm running the solution right now, latest data. I can put in the application etc Zabbix. And then by clicking this show details, click apply, I see the actual command here in the green. There is a trick here in the UI. We can use triple click to select this green in full. Look, I will do that right now. 1, 2, 3, and do the selection for the second paragraph, and now copy to the clipboard, and I will open like a text editor right now. Here you go. And inside the text editor, I'm having like this is the file. So going back to the UI, let's click back button, back, and back again, and back again. Come on, back. This is the file. Let's open the notepad, and so we can kind of translate this cmd tar is expanding to the like this equals this, and then we have some special like macro dir which is expanding to the stuff I want to backup. And then after the last pipe, we have this guy, and that expands to the like the last part, like it's piping the stuff to the base 64, and then comes the compression utility. Yeah, so 3 different macros over here. It is yeah, this is the structure. We run command. We have 3 macros inside the command, and then everything is expanding to something, and I'm backing up the directory. And then this stuff is just like to provide ready to use restore command to like restore the stuff in no time. Okay, so yeah, it runs, and it will like retrieve. It will print on screen this huge base 64 string, which is actually to have the backup. Let's see how actually we can restore what actually Zabbix is capturing. Opening the interface again, going to the Zabbix server, and going to the latest data page, and again the etc Zabbix. Here, if I open the actual, I have a special restore command. What is the outcome of this all stuff? If I open the history and open like last 500 values, like here, I have solution how to restore this etc Zabbix. And all we need to do is do the triple click. We do the mouse over here, do 1, 2, 3, and now I can copy to the clipboard. And so to restore etc Zabbix, I go to this server, go here and like paste the stuff, paste. So it executes this base stuff. It's a huge base 64 stuff, and it actually prints like what kind of files are inside the backup, and then it just overwrites the files, and that's it. It's quite handy. It's quite useful, and it's quite flexible way to back up your important stuff. Just specify all the keywords what you care about in this du bytes etc, like provide the scope of interest, and it just works. Okay, before I close this chapter, I want to talk about also downsides. The downside is actually it's not ideal. It's not like even best practices to do the tar, like extract tar archive and just blindly overwrite the files in the etc, because we are overwriting the owner of the file. Like here I'm like, who am I? I'm root. If I unpack the archive with the root, it will override the files, and now the new file owner will be root, and that's wrong. That's risky. Like you have to understand what you are doing. If you are using Red Hat type of system, like also like SE Linux can go crazy. That's a risky thing to do. Ideally, what we should do is like we should make a backup directory here. Make dir like 1 cd1, and then uncompress this file. Here we can like from starting from this position, we can not decompress in the actual root. And what I mean by not decompress, so before the command we are navigating to the cd root. That's the trick why it works. And if we don't do that, we can uncompress in the directory. So here, paste, enter, and now if we use the tree, we can see like I'm locating over here root 1, and then we have etc Zabbix and all the structure. So best practice could be really if I want to restore a file, like this is in the backup root 1 etc Zabbix. If I want to restore file, I can use like Zabbix agent D conf and do etc Zabbix Zabbix agent dconf. I would call this like a best practice, because this will never violate the owner of this file, and that's quite important. If we have secure environment, we have service users sometimes access the files. I think good example is actually cd etc Zabbix, and we have web. And with the out from box, this guy is owned by Apache. So by backupping this stuff, it can overwrite the permissions. Since I launched this already, it now makes me confusion. Maybe all the users are stored inside the backup, inside the tar file, and maybe that's not a problem. But yeah, what I know for best, this is quite a good approach, because it will never violate the owner of destination file. Alright, that's it for this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, and see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.